Hey guys, OCP Communications. Welcome back to another episode of Trending Topics. And this time I'm talking about the Nostalgia Critic. As you can see by the title above me, I'm talking about the Nostalgia Critic. Also, his real name is Doug Walker, and this is going to be a video talking about my thoughts on the Nostalgia Critic. And if you don't agree with my thoughts, that's fine. I have no issue with that. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get some controversy. There's going to be some controversy involved with this. People are going to think differently of my opinion and whatever. You don't have to agree with my opinion. I don't want you to. And that's the whole thing. If I make a video, the purpose of me making a video is not to convince you of my opinion. It's just to share my opinion. So if you feel differently or if you choose to actually feel the same way, awesome. And if you don't want to feel the same way, cool. Just be respectful about it. That's all. I mean, that's all I ask, really. It's not much. So pretty much the Nostalgia Critic is a very popular internet reviewer. He's not my personal favorite. I'd probably say I prefer the Cinema Snob over the Nostalgia Critic. I I didn't start out watching Nostalgia Critic. I started out watching Cinema Snob when he was still on YouTube until the the guys who did the Nail Gun Massacre decided to screw him over for some reason. And then he ended up going to his own website. And actually, I think he's good friends with the Nostalgia Critic, and they collaborate every now and then. And the one collaboration, they did a Sharknado review, which I didn't think it was that funny because I thought the movie sucked anyway. But it wasn't like the so bad it's funny variety. It was just really bad. But their Leprechaun review was hilarious. That was really good. That was a lot of fun. And so they had some fun collaborations, and Brad also shares the Cinema Snob's name is Brad Jones, and he shares his reviews on Doug's Channel Awesome. Originally it was that guy with the glasses, but then he changed it to Channel Awesome. And I've heard some things, some little grumblings, rumors that I don't know if are true or not because I don't work for the company, that I don't work for Doug. And I've heard that some of the people who worked with him kind of got screwed over and with the new move and all of that. And he's not the best employee. And he's not the best employer, so to speak, the best boss, which I don't know what to say about that because I'm not a fly in the wall over in the offices of Channel Awesome or that guy with the glasses, so I have no idea. Um, but yeah, I started out watching the Cinema Snob, and I was introduced to Nostalgia Critic, I think, through Cinema Snob or through some friends of mine were talking about Nostalgia Critic, or I just kept hearing about Nostalgia Critic. Actually, I think now I remember. I was introduced to him through the Angry Video Game Nerd because I'm a huge fan of James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd. I still think he's still pretty good. His video game reviews I thought were still pretty funny. The Beetlejuice one he did, the off what is it? Big rig Big Rigs Racing or something. It was the one with all that really terrible glitches. It was pretty funny, especially the ad he did that was supposed to be around the time that the game was released. He even made it look vintage and everything. And Big Rigs Off-Road Racing. And his 12 Days of Shitmas he did recently. And I enjoy his playthroughs with his friend Mike Matei. So yeah, I think in his Cinemassacre stuff, like his reviews he does, Monster Madness, I still think he's at the top of his game when it comes to with the Angry Video Game stuff, except for the movie, because the movie was pretty disappointing and just should have just made nerd episodes instead of a really overlong, lame, unfunny, really stupid movie that even the video game review at the end wasn't worth it. The ET review. Um, because it wasn't that funny and it wasn't that entertaining and it was just like, it's not the worst game in the world. It just wasn't worth the hype. But that's a whole nother story. But um, but I was introduced to Nostalgia Critic through him because I had a little bit of a feud when Nostalgia Critic was starting to become really popular. And so I would check out his website, and I remember spending like one night just binge watching Nostalgia Critic episodes. And I had a lot of fun with the early Nostalgia Critic when he was still reviewing movies that could be considered nostalgic for him. And I think that's the main issue I have. That's the reason why I wanted to make this video. It's not a video to say, Nostalgia Critic sucks, he always has sucked, he's overrated. I wanted to make this video to show that the flaw that is the Nostalgia Critic, the flaw that is his name. He called himself the Nostalgia Critic, and it's kind of a curse and a blessing that he's become so successful. Because it's a blessing that he's become successful because hey, he gets a lot of money and he gets to do what he loves doing for a living. But at the same time, it's kind of a curse because he's carrying around this ball and chain and being basically playing the fool for a bunch of people, for audiences with this character that he's going to have to keep on playing in order to make money. And you can kind of see, I think after he retired the character, when he tried to just do things by himself and do his own thing with demo reel and try to do all of that, and that failed miserably, and he was losing money, and he did not have the same audience that he once had, and he didn't have the same income. He was forced to bring back the Nostalgia Critic. And I think that's why I think the passion for playing the character just seems artificial now to me personally. It's not that he doesn't suck. His early work has been is still fantastic and funny, and he's also not everybody's cup of tea. I mean, there are people who think he sucks. Good for you. I have no problem with that. That's your opinion. But I know my friend Matt is not a fan of the Nostalgia Critic. He just finds him annoying, and that's cool. He's not the type of reviewer that is on everybody's good side, so to speak. But things that I really liked about him early on was that you could tell he was really passionate about this character. You could tell that he actually had nostalgia and nostalgic feelings for the films that he was reviewing or ranting on or making fun of. Now, since he's reviewed almost every movie that he could possibly be nostalgic about under the sun, he's left with movies to review that are just generic or trying to review a movie that's popular and a movie that people don't like, but it's not really nostalgic. So he's calling himself the Nostalgia Critic, but he's not really the Nostalgia Critic. He's not really reviewing a movie that he's nostalgic about. Mamma Mia is not a movie that he's nostalgic about. Mamma Mia is a film that, yeah, it's bad, but he's not even a fan of ABBA, so he's not even nostalgic about that. And the Matrix reviews were the first was when I decided to stop watching the critic reviews because I was just it just felt like a serious reach on his part to do a Nostalgia Critic episode about the Matrix. Now the second and third films, okay, maybe, but at the same time, there's still not much for him to be nostalgic about. So it's like you're called a Nostalgia Critic, and now you're reviewing movies from the 2000s, and you weren't born in the 90s or anything like that. Doug is an older guy, and he grew up in the 80s, and of course also a little bit of the early 90s as well. And now he's reviewing movies from the 2000s. His latest review was of Daredevil with Ben Affleck. I admit I enjoyed some of the newer reviews, like of Catwoman, but it's not because that movie was just unbelievably terrible. But there's other reviews, like the movie that was so bad that he supposedly came back and did a review for. He brought back the Nostalgia Critic for The Odd Life of Timothy Green. I don't even think it was really so shitty. Like, it didn't look like it was such a shitty movie that it was worth bringing back Nostalgia Critic. I think that was just he saw the movie, he didn't like it. He was trying to think of new critic reviews to do, and he decided to say, all right, this is the first one, so I'm going to say this is the one that brought the critic back. But in reality, what brought the critic back? What brought the critic back was money. It was the moolah. It was the clams. It was the dead presidents. Excuse me. That's what it was. It wasn't because of the odd life of Timothy Green. It was because he needed more money. And he wasn't going to get that with the demo reel, and he wasn't going to get that with this other stuff. So he had to bring back the critic. And when you retire some character and then you bring that character back, and it's not really something that you really truthfully wanted to do, it shows. And I think that's what's going on with these new series of critic reviews. Um, the after Nostalgia Critic. It's like Nostalgia Critic 2, and Nostalgia Critic 2 is not as good as Nostalgia Critic 1. It's the sequel is not as good as the original, and that's my thing. I don't think he sucks. I just think he's really inconsistent in terms of quality now because he's reviewing movies like The Haunted Mansion, which is just generic, and it's really hard to make it funny anyway because it's just generic. It's not so bad it's funny. It's just a generic, lame movie, and the humor seems forced. And in something like The Matrix, definitely forced because there isn't a lot of room for humor. And I think honestly, he should have just made should have just done Matrix reviews as Doug and talking about his feelings on the Matrix films as Doug. And he did that later, actually. And I actually enjoyed that video. I don't agree with his opinion, but I enjoyed that video because it just didn't feel like it was really Nostalgia Critic talking when he was doing the Matrix reviews. It just felt like it was Doug dressed up as a Nostalgia Critic, and of course they're not supposed to be the same character. They're supposed to be different, and I didn't get that with the Matrix reviews, and I thought they were a bit too nitpicky for my tastes. And then you have all these skits that are in every episode now, and a lot of them are very hit or miss. The one that was in Haunted Mansion with the gargoyles parody with Ellen DeGeneres and Kanye West as Goliath. Ellen DeGeneres played the girl, whatever, I forgot her name, but Kanye West as Goliath. It was just really forced and unfunny, I thought. I didn't think it was funny at all. I thought it was really cringe-inducingly terrible. And it's just, it's kind of hard to, but I think I got it, is with each and every critic episode that Doug is doing, I think it's taking a part of him. It's taking a part of his soul, part of his spirit, a part of his heart, his part of his love for doing reviews. I don't feel that with the nerd. I don't feel that with James because unlike Doug, it seems like he's actually been able to branch out and do different things and be himself and still have as equal amount of success. But when Doug just does things as Doug, he doesn't get the same amount of success. He gets a decent amount of views, but he does not get what James Rolfe gets. And he made it so the characters are so different from each other. This critic is so different from himself that it's kind of it's putting on a mask, and that would have to be tiring after a while. With somebody with Brad Jones and with the Cinema Snob, he's created a character that it's not really that much different from himself, and it's a character that he can keep on being the Cinema Snob till he's old and gray because it will never get old, and he'll never run out of bad, shitty pornos and terrible exploitation films to review. He'll never run out of that type of material. The Nostalgia Critic, by calling himself the Nostalgia Critic, gave himself a short shelf life. And that's the thing. That's why I wanted to make this video, is to talk about a topic. It's always going to be trending because he's really popular. But the thing is, how long is he going to be popular? How long is this run going to last? I will take the Cinema Snob running longer than Nostalgia Critic over any day. I will take the Cinema Snob's chances over Nostalgia Critic any day of the week because his character, he could, like I said, he could just keep doing it till he's old and gray. Nostalgia Critic, on the other hand, I think once he really just reviews every movie that could potentially be nostalgic or potentially be bad or popular demand bad movies, then he's going to run out of material. And he's already running out of material, folks. He's been doing this for a long, long time, and he's running out of material. He's running out of truly bad nostalgic films that he can review. And so now he's reviewing things like Daredevil and The Haunted Mansion and Mamma Mia. What's next? Is he going to do 50 Shades of Grey? Is he going to review the Air Bud sequels? Is he going, I mean, it's like, what what does he have left? It's like he has table scraps left now because he's done all of the other options that he had before already. He's reviewed Mac and Me. He's reviewed those type of movies. He did the Garbage Pail Kids. And if he does any more really bad direct-to-video crap movies, then he's not no longer unique. He's no longer the nostalgia critic. He's just trying to be like the cinema snob. Or another guy who tries to it's kind of ironic to me that the nostalgia critic now, to me, it's kind of like the guys who've been ripping him off. It's like he's reviewing the popular demand bad movies now. He's reviewing films that there's no way he can remotely be nostalgic about. So how can you honestly keep calling yourself the nostalgia critic if you're reviewing a Daredevil, or you're reviewing Mamma Mia, or the Sex and the City movie? It's like it's kind of like living a lie. And I don't know, and that's why I said it's a blessing and a curse. I don't know what Doug can do to fix this. I don't know what he can do to make this character last a longer amount of time, to have a longer shelf life. I don't know what he can do because he's got a big fan base, a lot of people that enjoy his stuff, even regardless of the quality. I mean, there's some people who even like some of his lesser quality episodes that still love it and think it's the greatest thing ever. But from a creative standpoint, if I was in his shoes, every time I do a critic episode, I'd be wondering, is this going to be my last episode? Is this finally going to be the last critic episode? And then, of course, I then realize that it's not. And I have to put on the mask one more time again. And I have to put on that tie, put on the hat, and I have to act all goofy and do all this again with Transformers, Darker the Moon or something. It just gets to the point where it might not be fun for him to do anymore, but he has to do it because it's what pays the bills. And that's it kind of sucks from a guy, he's a guy who did this. He started doing this because he really had a great idea. Nostalgia Critic was a great idea, and I definitely have been inspired by him. I would, would I say, would I like his success? Hell yes, I like his success. Who wouldn't want his success? Who wouldn't want to be in his shoes right now? But like I said, it's a blessing and it's a curse because you make it big with this one character, but then that's all anybody wants to see. And then if you want to branch out and do something different, well, nobody gives a shit. They want the nostalgia critic back. So you got to dig him up out of the grave, prop him up, and act like everything's the same. Everything is like it once was, but it will never be the same. And that's kind of the main point I'm making is these new nostalgia critics are never going to have the same feel. They're never going to have the same kind of compassion that the earlier episodes did, because this is a character that was dug up out of the grave and brought back just because of necessity. I highly doubt Doug brought back the nostalgia critic because he wanted to. And I mean, you could tell in his farewell video that he did, where before he retired the critic, that he was ready to move on. And then he moves on with a new project. He hopes that people are gonna like demo reel, and I gotta be honest, it really wasn't that great. So I can't blame people for not enjoying it and wanting the critic back. But now you got the critic back, and well, the same sort of lame humor that was in the demo reel is in the critic episodes. So it's just one of those. It's kind of hard for him to win. It's kind of hard for It's just he's that's where he is right now, and he chose to be the nostalgia critic, and he delivered a lot of entertainment for a lot of people. Um, but now he's just doing movies that, hey, any reviewer could do. It's no longer unique. He's not unique anymore. He's the quote Birdman. It's not important. He's not important anymore. Now a lot of people would say he is, but oh, he's huge. He still was one of the biggest, most popular internet reviewers. But when it comes to being ahead of his time, when it comes to being top of the line, when it comes to being the number one source for um, movie review entertainment on the internet, he's not there. He's not at that moment anymore. He's not the guy anymore. Even he hired Chris Stuckman, who arguably has a bigger fan base at the moment, if not as big as his, and he's the rising star, and he hired him to his channel, which I thought was kind of interesting. And he's just not he's not the number one guy anymore, and that's fine. But I always respect the man. I always respect Doug. I respect the critic because of what he did. He really did change things up and make internet reviews a little bit more unique and different. And so many other people ripped him off. And people say he ripped off the nerd. Yeah, but I think they're a little bit they're different characters. Maybe he was inspired by James Rolfe, and he could have been that. Could have definitely been inspired by James Rolfe. But he made it so internet reviewers can be can be characters, which is kind of interesting. I'll never do it. I'm just me. This is who I am. I'm not a character. I'm already a character enough by myself. If you've seen some of my rant videos, I don't need to be wearing a suit and a tie and shit. I mean, come on. I don't need that. But it's still a cool idea, and he did a lot with it, and I will still enjoy and still like his older reviews. I still watch them every now and then. I still laugh and I still chuckle, and I still get a good amount of entertainment out of them. But the most recent content, it's just not very good. So it's not the fact that the critic sucks. It's that his recent videos, his recent output, his after he brought the critic back is not up to what it once was to me. And that's kind of it's sad, but to me personally, it's my opinion, and I know a lot of people disagree with me, and I know a lot of people think I'm crazy for saying it, but that's how I feel. And I wanted to make this video because it's going to be a trending topic for a while now, because the critic is still a really popular reviewer. He may not be the guy anymore, but he's still really popular. And I have to admit, there are some videos every now and then I enjoy it. I mean, he can't really be nostalgic about Mamma Mia, but I still had fun with that review. And I did watch Daredevil because I think that movie gets shit on way too much by people. I really do. It's not that bad of a film. Even Ben Affleck isn't that bad in it. Watch the director's cut and then come back to me. There were much worse superhero movies than Daredevil. Catwoman, The Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. I could go on and on and on about worse superhero movies than Daredevil. But it just seems to be the popular pick for some reason, and I don't understand why. I could do a whole video defending the movie, but maybe when I review it, I will. But it's just I saw the film in the theater. I even like the theatrical cut. I don't get the hate for Daredevil, so I didn't watch that video because I knew I wasn't gonna like it. He's just gonna be bashing Daredevil and just taking the easy way out. But so many people bash that movie, and it's just an easy thing to do. And if you don't like it, cool, that's fine. But I like to hear more reasons other than it just sucks and Ben Affleck sucks. Because that's really all I usually see from people. Oh, it sucks. It's terrible. Ben Affleck is miscast. Like, what else have you got? Why else does it suck? Could we please get a little bit more than that? And I have a feeling he just did that just because the Daredevil TV series is coming out soon on Netflix, and it was just another one of those popular movies that's probably been requested for him to do. That's a bad film, and he decides to do it. Why not? Kind of sell out, get that cash, get that money rolling. And that's the point where he is right now. It's kind of hard for someone. I think it's hard for him, honestly, to be truthfully passionate about the critic anymore, since he put him to rest and then was forced to bring him back because of popular demand and because of income financial needs. It's just that's just you look at it and that's what you see. You see a guy who had a really wildly successful, popular internet character. He had a long run. He wanted to end it while he was still on top, but people didn't like the new things that he did, and then he had to bring back the character because of necessity, not because he wanted to. And that usually does not end up good, folks. Whenever that happens, when somebody has to bring something back because of necessity, not because they wanted to, that's usually it usually does not end well. But we'll see what happens. He's lasted a little while with this new critic, but it's not new and improved to me. It's it's just it's just not as fun. It's not as unique. It's not as fresh. It's not as funny. It's not as witty. It just it kind of some of the episodes to me kind of feel a little bit desperate because it's just like, hey, I'm still here and I'm still reviewing movies, but I'm reviewing movies that Erod, the blockbuster critic, would review, or I'm no longer unique, but please love me. It's kind of, I did the Matrix reviews. Come on, I'm doing Daredevil now. It's it's kind of sad, but I understand why he's at where he is right now. Critic is doing stuff like Daredevil, Mamma Mia, and all that other kind of stuff. More recent, popular, bad movies because of necessity. Because partly also because that's what a lot of people want to see for some reason. They don't want to watch a review of a movie from the 80s or the 90s. They want to watch a review of some movie that came out in the past 10 years. Because I've even had people leave comments like, what? Who gives a shit about a review of a movie from like 20 years ago? And like, that's not good. But then again, it's not really the case because he's just reviewed every movie from the 80s and 90s that he could be nostalgic about, other than some really terrible, bad direct-to-video films. But then it just wouldn't be like his character to do that. And so he's doing popular demand reviews and he's doing things to try to stay relevant. And that's what you got to do in today's day and age. But he just kind of feels like an old veteran in like in a kiddie pool. He's like an old man in a kiddie pool. That's what it kind of looks like to me. He's just trying to please, trying desperately, he's clinging on, trying to stay relevant, and it's working for now. But I don't know how much longer it's gonna work. He's still got this fan base. He's still got these people who watch his videos, and that's great. If you find them to be very entertaining and you like his new content, be my guest. But to me, it doesn't have the same luster that his older videos did. It doesn't have the same passion. It just feels fake. It feels artificial, and the jokes are tired. And the and it just and it shows that he's just doing this for a living now. It's no longer it's a job to him. It's no longer something he did for fun that he also got paid for. It's a job now for Doug, and that definitely does show, in my opinion, with the current Nostalgia Critic episodes. But I still like his editorials. I still think those are really interesting and informative and fun. I like the episodes he does where what you never knew about trivia from movies that you might have never known, which I thought was pretty interesting, kind of fun. Um, there are still some. I like his commercial. He can keep on redoing those commercial videos all he wants to, because those are still fun. When he does commentaries on commercials from back in the day, those are still pretty fun and entertaining. Um, but when he reviews movies, generic movies like The Haunted Mansion, it's hard for anybody to make a review of that generic piece of shit entertaining, because the movie itself isn't entertaining. So you have to try and make it entertaining, which comes across as being forced humor, because that's what it is, because you're trying to force the film to be entertaining when it isn't. There's nothing entertaining about the film. It's just a terrible, boring, generic movie. So, yeah. So that's why a lot of these recent reviews to me just kind of suck, because he's taken generic movies that are just boring or lame or not much to them in the first place, and he has to force humor into them, and it just comes across as forced and unfunny and not fluid and not something that is actually there. It's just throwing stuff out there and hoping it sticks. But anyway, I really don't know what else to say about Nostalgia Critic other than I'm curious to see how long he's gonna last. If he keeps doing this for another 10 years, good for him, but at the same time, I don't know. Even if I was in his shoes, I would want to do that, because I'm just gonna run out of movies to review, and I'm just gonna end up being like the people that I employ on my own channel. I'm gonna be reviewing movies that they've already reviewed. And it's already getting to that. He's already reviewed movies that these other people on his channel have already reviewed. And it's like, how long can he honestly keep doing this? Like, how long do you think the Nostalgia Critic can keep making reviews that are still fresh and innovative and unique? I don't think he's even doing that anymore. But how long do you think he can keep on doing what he's doing? Video game nerd, James Rolfe's got a shit ton of bad games he could still play. Cinema Snob, he's got an unlimited supply of bad, trashy movies that he can watch and review. He's never going to run out of material. Critic, he's starting to run out of material already. So what is he going to be left with in 10 years from now? He's going to be left with nothing but tiny microscopic scraps. He might be starting reviewing stuff that a Cinema Snob reviewed. Maybe he'll start reviewing porn. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's probably not going to be very good, because it's a job now to him. And we all know what it's like to just get up and go work. And it's not a job that you even like to do. You're not even having fun with it. It's just something you do to make some money and to make a living for yourself. But deep inside, you're miserable. So I could totally see that. Every time critics smiling inside, he's falling apart. He's not feeling too happy, feeling too good, not feeling too happy. But at the same time, he should still be pleased with himself, because hey, you made it. You made it, but now what are you going to do once you made it? And that's the thing. That's a question that a lot of people on the internet, including me, I don't know what the answer to. Like, if I made it big, if me and Matt made it big, what are we gonna do once we made it? Once we've already made it and we're already big, we're already huge. What are we gonna do once that's already happened? That's a question. I mean, it's like, I don't know the answer to that, because I haven't made it yet. So now Critic is dealing with that, the aftermath, of success, and it's both good and bad. And but you take the good with the bad, because hey, without the good and the bad, you wouldn't be where you are right now. You wouldn't be as successful as you are. So I encourage him to keep making videos. I encourage people to still watch them if they're still a big fan of him. If you don't like the current product of what he's giving out, then don't watch it. If you think it's not what it once was, then don't watch it. Seriously, you're doing him a disservice if you're still watching his reviews if you don't think that they're as good as they once were. Because if he starts losing some views and losing some interest, then maybe, well, maybe he'll stop and be like, maybe I'm doing something wrong here. Maybe I need to do something different. Maybe I need to try, maybe I needed to do something more with the critic. And who knows? But if you love it, cool. Keep on encouraging, keep on watching his videos, keep on helping him out. But if you're not into his current product, don't watch it anymore. I'm not going to watch the critic reviews unless it's like a review that I'm like, okay, I'm kind of curious about that because I've seen that movie and that's pretty bad. Um, but I'll watch the editorial stuff and so forth because I do find those to be interesting and the other spin-off stuff that he does. But and I'm still gonna watch Cinema Snob. Brad is amazing. If you haven't watched the Cinema Snobs yet and you're a fan of the critic, watch. You're doing yourself a disservice and not watching the Cinema Snob. But then again, he's not everybody's cup of tea either. But he watches the trashy view movies that I have on my I have on my shelf over here. So I really liked him because I related to him. As I was like, man, I thought I was the only one who's watched that piece of shit. So it was good to feel that I wasn't alone in that regard. But yeah, I've gone on for long enough probably on this, but to end this, critic, keep making videos. That's your job. That's what you that's what you're here to do and to entertain people. And if there's a few people, handful of people that are still entertained by the current product, then that's enough for him to keep on making critic reviews. I'm not one of them, but there are a good handful of people who are still entertained by that. And I'm fine with that. Keep making videos. I don't want him to quit. I don't want him to retire. I don't want him to stop. And I don't even want to force him to make the type of videos that I would like. This is just my opinion on him, and I just am not a big fan anymore of his of Nostalgia Critic 2.0. I like the Nostalgia Critic 1.0, but I don't like the new model. And I just wanted to share my thoughts on that. And if you feel differently, cool, no problem with that. But yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys later. See ya.